Hello. So, like, to be perfectly honest with y'all, this last book, anytime I read anything that has anything to do with erotica, it has got to be pre 50 Shades of Grey. Because this book, it's called Black Obsidian, and there's just 50 Shades of Grey all over this fucking book. The dude owns, like, a weird company that does something with, like, volunteering and like freelance people, something like that. And the only difference with this one is that both of them are damaged because I think the girl's name is Rome. She's also damaged. Um, the book is written by Victoria Quinn. Notice these books are never written by men. And its genre is erotic literature, romance fiction, and contemporary romance. There wasn't very much romance, but I guess the other two, we're going to get to that. But I'm not reading the other two because I enjoy my sanity. I say this as I read 50 Shades of Grey, but that's for a different reason. Dude's name is Calloway. He is at a bar and he's waiting for his brother named Jackson, and Jackson doesn't show up. But who does show up is this girl named Rome and her best friend. And her best friend is like, there's the guy who cheated on my friend who's married and she's got his kids. And Rome mistakes it for Calloway rather than the actual guy, and she slaps Calloway. And I shit you not, he says that the slap like made him erect, and it's very disturbing. Anyway, um, so Calloway is a dominant. He like goes to this club where there are just a bunch of people just having sex all over the place. It's a BDSM club. I didn't do any research. I don't actually know if BDSM clubs exist. If they do, somehow I imagine it doesn't go like this. Um, there's this girl who is already his submissive, and he's like, hey, so we're done because it's been a year, and I told you after a year that we were going to stop dating, like, or not dating, we were going to stop being dominant and submissive relationship. He specifically told her at the beginning of the year that they were going to be together for a year, and now a year has passed and she gets all broken up about the fact that they're no longer whatever. um so Calloway pays some guy to do research on Rome because Christian Grey style, he just knows everything about her and is creepy about it. But Rome has no past for some reason, and Calloway says that she wouldn't be easy to break, and it was at that point that I was about to break. There's only one book that has actually broken me. Like the other ones I didn't finish because I got bored, but so Rome goes to a dinner to accept some sort of philanthropy award because she is like super generous and she has a nonprofit that's kind of not doing well. It was very unclear to me. His brother Jackson calls Rome vanilla, which is very rude, and Rome doesn't know what that means because you know. During the dinner, Calloway is staring at her, and it's supposed to be like romantic, but it's kind of creepy. The only thing that I liked about this book is that at this point we are introduced to Rome's male friend, and she calls him her brother because, like, even though they're not related, they're just great friends, and there's absolutely no chemistry between them, and it's pretty great because platonic female male friends, we need more of them. I have one. We need more platonicism. Is that a word? I don't know if that's a word. Anyway, so also, the BDSM club is called Ruin. So that's a thing. Um, let's see here. Calloway is like super obsessed with Rome, and Rome is completely in the dark about this by this point. She doesn't know that he wants to like be with her. And his last submissive, her name was Isabella, and apparently she's not doing very well, even though he told her that they were only going to be together for a year. um, all of Calloway's inner commentary is just about how he wants to be different for Rome, but he still at the same time wants to, as one of my friends would say, slam jam with her in the bedroom. I just it's not like he's leading Isabella on. He's not being like, hey, like, I'm still going to entertain you emotionally, but not physically. And I'm going to tell you that, like, we're not together. He's not saying that at all. He's like, you need to move the fuck on because I'm moving on. So there you go. Um, Rome has an ex who did something to her, because of course she does. Um, and she also doesn't want to like rush anything with Calloway, even after he expresses interest in her. And Calloway's like, fuck, man, but I really want you to be my submissive. Meanwhile, Rome doesn't even know that he's a dominant, which seems like a pretty important thing to talk about in relationships. This is going to be a long video, but whatever. He's kind of reverse gaslighting her. Like, I don't know if, because usually gaslighting would be like, I think, like, no one else would want you, so you just have to stay with me. He's like doing the reverse of that, saying that no one else can handle her except for him. And it's kind of a compliment, but kind of also a tinge abusive, in my opinion. Okay. Um, so Rome decides that like she doesn't want to have sex for 4 weeks, and Calloway's like, "What the shit, man? We should have sex like right now." But he agrees to this because he really, really wants her. And 100 pages in, I was nearing my breaking point. I didn't. I finished the book. So they go to a soup kitchen to volunteer, and there's this dude who like flirts with Rome, and Calloway gets all possessive and bitchy about it. And Rome is like, "You can't do that. He was just being nice," and like whatever. She kind of guilts him into an apology, but it's not really an apology. It's more like a "I'm sorry you feel that way" apology. They also have their first sexual experience together, and I think it was grinding. I don't know. I can't even. Um, Rome and her brother only eat salads, and that's kind of weird. And they do that because, like, they don't like wasting food. I think that's what they said. Okay. Um, so, like, rather than just telling Rome that he's a dominant and he would like her to be his submissive, he just starts giving her commands and shit. And Rome's like, "I'm not gonna fucking listen to you because I don't want to." Like, okay. It kind of feels like I do it because I want him and not I do it because I want to. Okay. Um, I know that in relationships you have to compromise some things. This doesn't feel like that. So, Rome also, when she was younger, like her mysterious dark past, because she's also a broken person like Calloway is, because only broken people can be in BDSM. Everybody knows that. Didn't you know that? In a world after E.L. James's 50 Shades of Grey, only broken people can do BDSM. Didn't you know that? Anyway, sometimes Rome would get locked into a basement, and she doesn't like it when people like pity her, and she doesn't want people to like, and I guess it felt like she didn't want people to empathize with her. It's like, well, bitch, what the fuck do you want me to say when you tell me that your foster parents used to lock you in the basement? What the fuck do you want me to say to that? What? Calloway's mom also has one of the forgetting diseases. I doesn't say which one. She just has one of them. Um, like, uh, also, I feel like because just the way that this book portrays it. This is the one thing I will give 50 Shades of Grey. Anastasia does not do this to Christian the entire time she's around him. If when you are near your partner, you are 24/7 turned on, reevaluate your life. Um, Calloway gets her to go on the pill because he doesn't want to wear condoms. Yeah. So she gets all uppity about them not sharing a bed. Like he'll have sex with her there, but he won't sleep with her there. Like literally fall asleep with her there, kind of like Christian did with Anastasia. I'm just gonna keep making the references because that's all this is. He almost assaults her at this point too. Jackson's being an ass. Rome gets robbed because she lives in kind of a swanky part of town, and Calloway's against it, but Rome's like, "I've lived here my entire life. This isn't the first time it's happened. Who the fuck cares?" Um, Calloway calls her his girlfriend and decides to make the distinction between girlfriend and submissive, which, like, I know that there's a distinction, but he's not at all working towards the submissive one, which is the one that he wants. This was like 200 pages in, and I literally wrote, "I can do this" in my notes. So they fuck, and, yeah, I think he attacks her in his sleep, like he like because he's having a nightmare, so he like punches her in his sleep, which like you can't help your nightmares, but I feel like that's a warning you need to give this person before they sleep next to you, platonic or otherwise. Um, Jackson is being an ass, and Isabella shows back up, and Jackson and Isabella are both like, you can't be in a vanilla relationship because you're clearly not going to be happy like this, because clearly we know better for you than you know for yourself. So when I finished the book, I went, I fucking did it! Because I was just so tired and drained by that point. Like, I don't even know if I would call it bad. It's just an experience. And I don't know if I'd call it a good one or a bad one. Like, so firstly, if you like BDSM, then by all means get tied up, boo boo. But if you have a vanilla partner and you can't handle only vanilla sex, then you are obligated to leave that person, because that's not fair to them and it's not fair to you, because you're just going to end up resenting them. Like, the fuck? Number two, if you agree to a no strings attached relationship and then you get attached, that is so not the other person's problem. You agreed to a friends with benefits relationship. Keyword in that just being friends. Like, sure, you need to probably like this person and at least have a baseline of the type of person that they are. But the point is that it's supposed to be no strings attached. So, Isabella can fuck right the fuck off. Thirdly, if you have a friend who is into BDSM and then they suddenly find a vanilla relationship and are clearly very happy in that relationship, leave them the fuck alone. They're trying something different. In 5 years, it might not work out. In 10 years, they might still be together. So, go fuck yourself. Fourthly, there are several points in this book where Rome says, she flat out says no, and Calloway just doesn't stop, and she just gives in. No. Like, also, no one has told, by the end of the book, I don't think she knows that he is a dominant still. No one has told her. Oh my god. This author very clearly read or saw 50 Shades of Grey. This is about a man with a broken past who owns a business and is into brunettes and does BDSM. That is literally the entirety of Christian Grey's character. Like, the book, it's kind of a vast improvement because Rome has a tad more agency than Anastasia does, but only a tad. Oh my god. Like, okay. Here's why it's not at the bottom of the wouldn't read again list. A, because I finished it, and B, it's still competently written, and I think whenever I read sex scenes, I just start laughing, like I just can't help it. That's not a detriment to the author. I just can't help it. I would kind of prefer them to be there than to not be there, like Lady D'Estelle, but that's a whole other can of worms. Yeah, like, Jesus fucking Christ. I did refuse to allow the book to break me, though. I refuse to allow a book to ever break me again. I'm not going back to finish The Sweetest Kill, but yeah.